So here's a game on NES called Life Force, which we've played a lot in college.
All the time.
It's been a long time. So, and it's 2 players simultaneous. So we're gonna.
That's why we played it all the time in college, because we were always looking for a game that we could play together at the same time.
Co-op.
This and Contra, we'd always play a lot.
Yeah. So let's give it another go for old time's sake. You know what I like about this?
What?
As opposed to Silver Surfer, you can hold the trigger down and keep shooting.
Silver Surfer was a game that they made because they wanted to sell turbo controllers. So, how many Konami games can you name?
Contra, Jackal, Castlevania,
Jackal. That's another 2-player at the same time NES game. That's a lot of fun.
I always thought these things were kind of stupid looking, you know, because they come out of the wall, but you could see where...
You can see the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if you go through a haunted house and there's like a special effect, but you could tell.
You can tell it's fake.
Yeah. I mean, even if it looks good, but then the part where it runs out is like, okay, well, they didn't hide that too well. Shit, how do we get...
Basically, we're fucked. Actually, I'm making it. Somehow.
Walk through. Basically, you're fucked. Do you know why this... Whoa. You know why this is called Life Force?
I think you're inside something's body. So I feel like it's called Life Force because it's like... It's the life force of whatever you're in.
That's the only guess I had. I don't know the plot of the game.
Yeah, I don't know either.
There might be a plot, so...
If we ever read instruction manuals, we would know, but we don't do that because we're men.
Men don't read instructions.
We drink beer and don't read.
They just speculate. Oh yeah, like I remember this. It's like a brain.
Yeah.
That's so
cool.
cool.
Speaking of brains, I hear Krang's going to be in the new Ninja Turtle movie. Which is... What?
Krang's going to be in a Ninja Turtle movie? Really?
I heard. That's what they said.
A little late, but awesome.
If they're going to make a live-action turtle movie, make it based off of the fucking cartoon that we all grew up with.
Yeah.
You got to hit that thing in the middle. You should be circling around this thing.
I'm kind of stuck, actually.
Yeah, try to circle around it if you can. Man. There we go. It's weird. I feel like we're fighter jets, but we're in space, and it's like
yeah,
they don't look like
Like.
spaceships.
Yeah, they don't look like ships because they have wings and they're... Well, I mean, ships could have wings, but they... You know what I mean? They look like fucking planes.
There you go. Yeah, on the bottom... Basically, that thing, that blue thing right there that James just got, you get that, and that increases your the meter on the bottom. Every time you get one of those, it moves up one, and when you hit the A button, you can select that item and use it. And there's different things. There's the first one's speed, which makes you faster.
Watch out for the solar flares.
I know. This is the stage that I just die on a million times. The first one's speed. I think the second one's missiles that shoot on the top and bottom. The last one is force, which is like a force field. I like this game a lot because it's 2 players and all, but I think that the weapons in this game really kind of suck. And also, like, you end up dying so much that most of the time you just have what we're using right now, which is the just the regular like pea shooter thing, which kind of sucks. And even when you do get like the better weapons, like they're not that great compared to some other shooters that have like amazing weapons. Like I played like games like Gun-Nac and I think Airbuster and Blazing Lasers on TurboGrafx 16. There's a lot of shooters with a lot of amazing weapons basically, and this game is kind of lacking in that department, I will say. But that said, this is one of the most classic Nintendo games, and I do love this game because the NES really needed to have some more like 2-player co-op games. There wasn't really all that many, so the game is great for that reason.
Yeah, I remember seeing pictures of it in Nintendo Power, and always seeing those huge bosses that you fight, and it's crazy, like a brain with an eye, and like you see. I just remember loving the bosses in it.
The bosses are awesome, and is this the dragon? I believe, or is this? This is the dragon.
Ah, nice.
This boss is pretty easy because you just go up and down and avoid the thing. His fireball. Some of the other bosses are really tough though. I think actually the last boss that we fought was pretty hard. The one where you have to circle around them and like kind of.
Yeah, it was kind of because you get trapped.
Much easier with 2 players. This game, I have to say. You know how some games, if you play it with 2 players, they add in like more enemies. I think this game doesn't do that. So it's like if you play this by yourself, it's much harder of a game.
Yeah, imagine if Silver Surfer was 2 players.
Right?
You know what? If Silver Surfer was 2 players, I bet you that when one player dies, you'd both have to go back.
Oh, top.
That's what they would do.
We're on top of you now. That's another cool thing I have to say about the game. Even though I don't personally think that the weapons are that great, what is awesome is that it alternates between the horizontal and the vertical scrolling.
We control the horizontals. We control the verticals.
Oh, what is that? Is that Twilight Zone?
Close. There's
Outer
nothing
Limits?
wrong with yes.
Oh, see, by the way, this is the stage I was talking about. You see, like, the blood cells, and you see, like, the sides, how it kind of looks like intestines or something right now. Like, we could be inside somebody's asshole right now. You never know.
Yuck. Looks like a brain, though.
Maybe that's what's happening. We're gonna get, like, shit out.
There's a stage on Earth.
Oh, don't hit these. Don't hit those.
Don't? Okay.
Fuck! Well, we're fucked now. All right.
I'm trying to... You can't kill him?
Well, now those things break open the others. So, basically, if you don't do the first one, then you don't have to deal with any of this. But if the first one breaks open, it's done because these things will break open the rest. And you know what? Those kind of look like Q-tips.
Q-tips that have been at somebody's ass. So there's a stage on Earthworm Jim called Intestinal Distress. And you're actually like going through intestines. It's really nasty.
Ew.
Earthworm Jim. Now that's a fucking game we should play.
Speaking of games.
I'm dead.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm back.
Speaking of, would you steal one of my things?
Yeah, I stole your.
Oh, fuck.
And then I lost it.
Speaking of games where you come out of somebody's ass, Bonk's Adventure on the first stage, you go, this comes out of nowhere. Bonk's Adventure, the first stage. Jesus, look at this. I'm gonna die. Can I just get through this like sentence? The first stage of Bonk's Adventure, you go inside of the dinosaur and then you go through his intestines and then you're shit out of his asshole into a boss fight. That's what I wanted to say.
I actually remember that now.
Yes.
I didn't remember that you came out the ass, but I
You do.
I guess so.
I mean, it's kind of like you don't really see it like that much, but you can tell that like, that's what it's supposed to be. All right, kill this. You know who this reminds me of?
Well, this is when we were talking about Death Mosses back in college. We were coming up with
this is one of the inspirations because we were always talking about like what does Death Mosses look like,
and it was like one of the early ideas. Like he should have a goofy face like that.
They need to have energy meters, don't you think? Because it's like we could be shooting this guy forever. I don't even know if we're damaged.
Yeah, that does. It doesn't sound like. Usually enemies blink when you hit them or something.
Right.
There's no indication that you're. That you're
that's
doing
one thing that's kind of stupid.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We are continuing, and James is telling me a Rodney Dangerfield joke.
I don't know. I was trying to make one up, but. Oh, I'm so ugly. Like, when I was a kid, my dad told me to lay naked on the kitchen floor to scare away the roaches. Oh, I tell you, I get no respect. It'd just be funny to hear him talk about video games. More comedians should should get video games into their stand-up.
I think David Cross does a little of that. He was a voice actually in one of the Grand Theft Auto games. It's weird to think of like classic comedians.
That's like they obviously wouldn't know anything about the games.
Right,
That's why I think it'd be funny. Like Rodney Dangerfield, who isn't even alive anymore.
Right.
Like to think of him, talking about Atari or something. I'd like to see that.
Imagine the Three Stooges like playing a video game. It's like you can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
Like imagine Mo Howard playing Life Force. You know, it would never happen.
Spread out.
Hey,
you bunch of imbeciles.
Move over.
People playing video games who you wouldn't think playing video games.
Right. It's like Laurel and Hardy play Superman 64. Like, you know. Abbott and Costello play Final Fantasy 7. Or play Castlevania Symphony of the Night. This reminds me of Patra.
Oh yeah, Patra. I have a problem with this game where I'm like, see, I just did it again. I have a problem where I keep confusing which person I am, or which plane, because I'm not looking at the plane. I'm looking at what I'm like aiming at, basically.
Right. Well, look at the plane then.
If I look at the plane, then I can't see what's coming at me. Like, I'm usually focused on
You got to kind of be able to look at it all, sort of.
I mean, I look at it all, but I can only look at one at a time.
Right.
So I'll go back and forth. But then sometimes when I'm looking at the projectiles coming and everything, I forget which plane I am when I come back, because we kind of cross each other.
There's other games that have that, like, where you have to do that kind of thing. A big one I can think of is Kaboom.
Yeah.
Kaboom, you really have to keep your eye on the bombs and your buckets the whole time, but you also need to be able to look up at the score.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what the score is, you don't know when it's gonna go to the next 1,000. So when your bucket drops, you know, so that you know when you're supposed to like drop the bomb.
I kind of just see
like right there, what you're flashing. You look like kind of like my ship. Like you flash like red a little bit, and it looks like my ship.
Especially when we're both flashing at the same time.
Right. Like, did they have to make both ships look so fucking similar?
Yeah, that's what I feel like. If they made them shaped a little different, you know, the color's fine, but if they were shaped different too, that might make it...
I'm going to write a letter to Konami and tell them to fix the game.
Yeah, write a letter to Konami.
You know how I do, like, a lot of reviews of homebrews and stuff?
Yeah.
It seems like the homebrews that people always make is, like, Mario and, like, Castlevania and stuff. How come...
Yeah.
Why doesn't anybody make a homebrew of, like, this? Like, have this same game with, like, a different... like stage. This would be an awesome thing to have, like, another version of, you know, of Life Force.
Oh, wasn't there I remember one of the early versions of that I heard of. I'm sorry, we go through this every time, but hack, if you change it, that's a hack, right?
Yeah, if it's Mario Brothers and they change it around, you know, that's a hack because they're hacking a game that already exists. If it's brand new, like Battle Kid, that's a homebrew.
Well, I think the first hack I ever heard of was Doom, because somebody on the PC Doom, somebody did like...
Yeah. Is this the end of the game?
I don't think we got up to like the...
Oh, okay.
I remember there being some other bosses.
Oh, really? Okay.
I guess you can't hit that eye thing.
I guess
you gotta hit the dragon or whatever.
Okay. What part of this guy do you hit? The head?
I'm just aiming for the green guy right now.
Well, that's what I was doing too.
Oh, you're saying even with that.
There we
go. Well,
I think this is the end of the game.
Oh, really?
Not yet. We're still going though. I think this part gets really fast, and then if we make it through this, it's the end of the game. Maybe not. I don't know. Fuck.
Shit.
Oh wait, is that the end? Yeah, that's the end of the game. I was like dead when it ended. Oh god, it's gonna do the Nova Blast.
Oh.
Well, that wasn't much of an ending.
Does anything else happen? That was it?
Kind of a letdown, huh?
Huh. Well, that's Life Force.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. It's a good two-player game to play every now and then.
Yeah,
but,
I remember loving this game back in the day, and I can't say that it holds up quite as well as I remember.
Yeah.
It's good, definitely a good game, but it's like it's a little shorter than I remember. There's less bosses than I remember.
Yeah, I mean, when you get through it pretty quick with 2 players, and with the code. So we use the code.
That's true. If you try to do it without the code, then this would be like way harder.
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. If you want a game where you could talk while you're playing it and not have to pay as much attention.
If you want a good 2-player co-op game for NES, it's definitely a game to go for.